Hey, what's going on, guys? Kalamazi here. Everybody liked the wild beaver hat so much last video that I have brought it back for this video. Here it is, this time with the lights on by popular demand. Anyways, today there was a new beta build for War Within, and with it came some changes to Warlock, some hero talent changes, some buffs, nerfs, new visuals for a couple abilities. No major new abilities or something like that, no talent changes, a couple little things for Hellcaller, we'll hit on that. Today, want to look at all that, new visuals, talk about why the changes happened, what they mean, and then go from there. This Thursday and Friday, there's raid testing from the new raid. I don't even know what it's called, but it's happening this Thursday and Friday, as well as M+ testing. We're streaming it here on YouTube as well as Twitch if you want to come by. All of that, and yeah, let's do it. All right, so getting into the changes here, I'm going to look at the data mine values of things changing, and also look at the actual blue post today, because some things I want to clarify that are going to be a little confusing. So this is not essentially a nerf to Affliction or Destro or Demo or whatever they reset. Essentially, they essentially reset the actual aura modifiers for the spec heading into the new expansion. I believe it's the buffs we got over the course of Dragonflight, so on and so forth. They're all reset to 0 now, but so it's a nerf when it comes to this sense, but they went through and added value to other abilities, basically buffing them to a similar level, right? You can see Agony's been increased, Rapture increased, Mastery, I change whatever, but Cunning Cruelty increase, Haunt increase. They went through and basically compensated for all the changes by buffing most of your abilities individually. Overall, doesn't really matter a whole lot. It's the first part of beta anyway, so you can't really even tell where you were before and after, but same thing. So the first thing I want to hit on here, it is mentioned here a little bit when it comes to certain things, but not everything. I don't believe it's even mentioned here for Affliction at all. It is actually not, which is interesting, so I want to jump around a bit here. So Malediction has been changed. Now I talked about this in the feedback video that I put out. Malediction is the talent right here. We talked about it in the feedback video yesterday, but this part of the tree, Gate 2, being relatively bloated when it comes to talent points, it makes pathing awkward. Malediction sucks now, so you don't play it anymore. So you have 2 points you're not spending here, so you can put one in Improve Haunt and one, I put it here for Hellcaller. It's Corruption, Wither Damage, and all that. What they've done is essentially they've taken Malediction, which gave you a crit strike chance increase of Agony, Corruption, UA by 5% and 10% at rank 1 and 2. They've now made it so you gain 5% at 1 and 10 at rank 2, additional crit strike chance from all sources. So the way it works is that, let's say for example, the old version, let's say it's, before today's build, I'm at 26 baseline here. I had 10 additional percent for Agony, Corruption, and UA, so they had a 36% chance to crit. But with the change to Malediction now, it essentially takes, if I have, where's my talents at, if I can pull it up somehow, if I have 2 points in this thread of whatever reason, right? Apparently I'm in combat, I don't know how. If I had 2 points in this for whatever reason, it would take 10% of the crit strike from all sources that I have, 10% of that basically. So instead of being 10% just raw when it comes to these dots, it is 10% of 26, which is 2.6%. This ability has been destroyed. We don't play it anymore. It's pretty bad. I don't know why they did that, unfortunately. It's a little sad, but I mean, it's a lot of there are a lot of dot crit and damage increases, and Wither is obviously doing a lot of damage, so I get maybe sort of as to why, but this thing is just not good anymore. You don't play it. You path around it. So you get your Improved Haunt and single target. You get likely Sacrilash when it comes to Hellcaller, Affliction with Wither and all that. If you're playing Soul Harvester for whatever reason, probably play, point over here and Cold a week, so on and so forth. But the pathing in here, a bit easier, but not in a good way in a sense, because this has just been changed to a weird option, but there is that. Malign Omen is now working with dot extensions. That's cool. That was a bug that is fixed. They buffed a lot of their abilities here, give and take. Demonology or reset here as well. I believe anything else they changed here. Oh, they changed Pact of the Era Druid. Your Dark or Doomguard. So basically, what he does now, we're gonna look at some things in combat in a bit here. I might look at him, might not. But what he does, you have a chance to summon a Doomguard that casts 5 Doom Bolts. So it is apparently bugged on these dummies. You can't really get, I don't know how I'm in combat here. You can't really get, I had these active 4 hours ago, and they're still active through absolute corruption. So apparently on some dummies and some mobs, he's not spawning at his actual like proc rate or whatever. It looks to be in dungeons and on other dummies, like certain ones in random cities, around a 1 in 2 chance when Doom expires to spawn a Doom Guard. On these, it's like 1 in 15. It's pretty bad. I'm not really sure why, but I'm assuming the proc rate is like 1 in 2, 1 in 3 roughly, and not the abysmally low one that we saw in testing earlier today. The unfortunate part about that change, though, is that it's not mentioned here. The text on this ability, though, so our tier bonus on retail, it's Doom Brand. You apply Doom Brand, you spawn a Doom Guard. He casts a Doom Bolt, or Doom Bolts, whatever, in single target, multiple single target ones, or he volleys an AoE. The volley part has been removed from Pact of the Era Druid. Now, it never said volley in text here. It just said cast 5 Doom Bolts. It was sort of assumed that it would volley an AoE, seeing it's sort of like similar to our tier bonus. They even referenced that when it came to designing Doom and things. It does not volley Doom Bolts anymore, so chances are very high you're not playing this at M+ at all. It might just be dead in general. A bit unfortunate, because it's actually a pretty cool ability. Hope that it goes back to volleying things. Without the volleys, though, not going to be played in Plus. You might play Doom and Doom Eternal, but I mean, I'm not really sure. When it comes to single target implications, got to see where it lands compared to Immutable Hatred. This is pretty subpar with our core economy being nerfed, but we'll see where that goes. And there is that. And Destro, when it comes to other things, Aura buff reset as well, but other abilities buff to compensate. I think somewhere, not even sure. So going to the actual like just blue post here, highlighting just the changes here that Blizz put out. So Mortal Coil projectile has been updated with a new visual. I will show you that right here. It's actually really cool. It is like essentially like it's actually, I believe it's the skull from Legion, your artifact from Demonology. It's like a swirly kind of skull you launch. You can see it right here. Oh, I guess this angle's probably good. We will cast Mortal Coil right here. There it goes. It swirls and heads in. I can try and get a better angle in a second when it comes off cooldown, but it's pretty cool visually. At the same time, they also changed Fear to have a different cast animation. Or I guess cast icon, whatever. It's essentially the same thing it was before last build, but I mean, it's a little skull that like does that. Pretty cool. I think this is around to indicate, I think they said stronger Fear effects in PvP, something like that, but it's cool to see. Pretty nifty. They also added a visual effect to Dimensional Rift. Now, unfortunately, the Dimensional Rift change is not anything incredibly exciting. All it really is they made your arm go in the air when you cast Dimensional Rift. I'm not totally sure. I don't believe they added any more swirlies to it. Like if I can change a single target here. Yeah, there we go. I can change a single target. I don't believe they added any more detail to the portals. I could be wrong though, but it looks like it's just, you know, essentially my arm goes in the air now when I cast it, and the rift spawn and do the same animations. There's little green things, there's a bolt, purple one's the same too, and there is no flame rift. So I mean, there's that. I guess it's sort of cool if you enjoy the arm in the air. There's that. They also change an animation when it comes to Soul Harvester. Now on top of that, Wither, Malevolence, also, they have new icons. So here is the new Malevolence icon, which is here on my bars. Here's the new Wither icon. Pretty cool, actually. And Soul Harvester has a new icon here as well for your Demonic Soul. They did change the visual whenever he spawns. It is the same Zul'Harrak looking kind of effect, but they added more like purple glow to it and stuff. So I'll over here briefly cast my Soul Rot, and he will spawn whenever I Rapture. So you can see Soul Rot's up. He spawns here. There he is. More of a purple kind of like effect. I believe they removed the portal he spawns out of whenever he's summoned, but he has like that purple shadow kind of glow to him. It's pretty cool. I like it. I wish they kept the portal around, but it's cool. Visually, Hellcaller and even Soul Harvester with the new guy are pretty pleasing. Obviously, Diabolist, I'll call it that, because you guys get mad at me when I don't. It's also pleasing, right? So the other changes here, Hellcaller has been essentially redesigned. So I have, let's see if I can find this here. I have pictures that THE sent me earlier of the old one and new one. I can try and find them here. But basically, what they did is they went through and they changed the way Mark of Xavius and Mark of Porthalorn work. So here are the actual old ones. I guess old and new, old and new. Basically what it does, the new version of Mark of Porthalorn, crit strike damage dealt by Wither increased by 10%. So here is essentially the old one, The old one was Wither deals deals damage 40% faster, and Black and Soul deals 2% increased damage per stack of Wither. The new effect has a crit strike damage dealt by Withers increased by 10%. So it's a nerf to Wither's tick rate. Wither are still doing a lot of damage. This might help that a bit to bring it back down to a manageable, or a lesser level with more, universal relevancy compared to the classes. This is a new effect here. Wither has a chance to gain a stack when it critically strikes. Stacks gained this way do not activate Black and Soul. You might be wondering, well, where did this go? Black and Soul deals 2% damage per stack of Wither, right? Here is the old version of Mark of Xavius. This was Cataclysm for Destro and Vile Taint for Affliction. They have changed this to like a new Mark of Xavius. They kept the Wither damage increase here, but they basically moved this from Mark of Pertheron to Mark of Xavius, and they removed the Cataclysm, Vile Taint, cooldown reduction, and so Black and Soul parts over here. So it's probably like a bit of a loss damage-wise. It might even be a buff, though. I'm not sure, because like realistically, while it sounded nice having a CDR to Cataclysm and Vile Taint. We don't have ways to extend Immolate or Wither or our dots as Affliction and Destro long enough where Cata can refresh every time, even with the CDR. Same thing for Vile Taint. We don't have that. If we did, and this made that a thing and they removed it, yeah, it'd be a bit worse. We've asked for it for a while. We haven't gotten it. We've gotten similar things for like CDF and RDF giving minor extensions to Wither or Immolate, and we have Malign Omen back. But even with Malign Omen being around, Vile Taint could not refresh dots every single time. Tied to Soul Rot. So honestly, I think removing the cooldown reduction on Cataclysm and Vile Taint is actually a good thing. And this is likely a buff or a wash, maybe a little better when it comes to Hellcaller changes and all that. So we'll see where it goes in Sims. By the way, just a bit of a redesign when it comes to Hellcaller. Likely a little better when it comes to overall combat and things like that. Soul Harvester. So Soul Harvester has been hit a lot today, and I'm really not sure why. So Demonic Soul damage reduced by 50%. Soul Anathema damage reduced by 50%. Shared Fate reduced by 30%. Now, when it comes to Soul Harvester, I'm going to show you Affliction here, for example. When it comes to Soul Harvester, it felt very strong when you had your Soul Rod active, which triggered your dude here, your Demonic Soul. When you had your Tyrant active, it would trigger your Demonic Soul whenever you spent shards. This is whenever you Rapture, whenever you cast Soul Rot. Your damage felt really strong during your cooldowns. But outside of cooldowns, both being Soul Rot and Tyrant based, your damage is pretty subpar. Unless mobs are dying and you had like Shared Fate value. There's some effects like Mantle the Harvester, like and a lot of Nightfall based effects. Even this ties into it now, sort of Ravenous Afflictions, right? Haunt grants Nightfall. Nightfall does other things. It gives you Nightfall, gives you Shadow Bolt, Drain Soul increases, all that kind of stuff. If you're playing Feast of Souls, Nightfall will activate its ability, which gives you a chance to generate a Succulent Shard, all that kind of stuff. It's very synergistic with Nightfall, but unfortunately the damage wasn't there outside cooldowns, and now unfortunately the damage is also not there in cooldowns. Testing Soul Harvester, it's like 200k worse than Hellcaller. We'll look at it here briefly in combat, but I'm very surprised the damage was changed and shifted around this much. So I guess nerfed this much. So I'm going to precast my UA or my Haunt. UA, Agony, Corruption. I'm going to cast this Shadow Bolt to stack Shadow's Embrace, Singularity, Soul Rot. I'm going to pop Dark Lair, Trinkets are Rapturing, right? Now, previously, when my dude spawned, whenever I had Rapture, he would jump to a really high amount of damage here, ahead of Malefic Rapture and things. I'm going to dump all my shards here, dumping shards, shards, so on and so forth. And, like, he's there, but he was, like, tied with Rapture, if not ahead of Rapture before. Now he's like 4 to 5% lower, and this is basically all my shards in this window, right? And when it comes to actual Soul Anathema, this was much higher too, around the 9-ish% mark. Both have been knocked down substantially, and it feels really awkward. My burst is like 200k lower than Hellcaller is, if not more. And my sustain is not good at all. I dropped below 600, I think I dropped below 600k earlier in testing. And when I had CDs like the 2-minute mark, I burst like 750 again. Hellcaller is sitting at 900k plus as AF, right? I don't know why this was nerfed. I'm hoping that it's maybe possibly because they're going to reintroduce some kind of like Soul Rot cooldown reduction to the talent tree, like this or this, like Gluttony, maybe next week. That'd be really cool. I'm hoping it's in prep for that. I doubt it is. It's wishful thinking, but if Soul Harvester had half a minute soul rot, it would actually make like this a good talent. I mean, this is like a fun tree with interactions and nightfall and stuff, but it's not very strong with a minute soul rot. If you give it half a minute soul rot, like replace one of these things here with, you know, gluttony, it would make Soul Harvester competitive for sure. It has niche value in certain areas. If you can get like shared fate value, if you can get a lot of nightfall procs or just in that whatever, right? But like when it comes to raw power, it is not Hellcaller. And if you can't get that niche power now, it's not going to do anything at all. So I'm hoping they end up changing this, adding a half a minute soul rot in the tree here somewhere. I probably wouldn't want it universally. I sort of like how Hellcaller feels. I also didn't hit Oblivion here, but I mean, it's fine. Just showing what like the breakdown. I like how Hellcaller feels like that minute build with Malevolence, your Oblivion being a minute long, or essentially a minute long, you're holding it for your Malevolence and all that. And I wouldn't mind Harvester being half a minute long, half a minute soul rot. Maybe even play a Vile Taint over Singularity and all that. That would be fun. I wouldn't mind that. But in this form, it seems very subpar after these changes today. I'm really not sure why. It was likely the worst of all three hero talents outside of cooldown. So we'll see where that goes, but very odd to see. So Demonology. As we mentioned, Pact of the Era Druid, the Doom Guard. The Doom proc rate is bugged in these dummies. He doesn't volley Shadow Bolts anymore. Hopefully that's a bug. Not really sure we're going to see. The cool thing, though, Charhound and Gloomhound, the purple and red dogs, were nerfed by 50%. Doom was nerfed too, which is unsurprising, but this is probably dead. I actually didn't see this until right now, which is funny. But so this might not seem like a good thing, but it actually is a decent thing, because when I first saw this, I thought, oh, cool, they fixed the Tyrant interaction with dogs. They actually did. So dogs are now working with Tyrant. They're half a minute long. Half a minute cooldown. They are also now working with Tyrant extensions, which is very cool. I'm very excited to see that. So, unfortunately, this talent here, Houndmaster's, whatever this is, Gambit is still bugged. It's not working at all. But whenever it's working, you're going to have a Vile Fiend active for 45 seconds every minute. Or, sorry, a Vile Fiend being one of these dogs. Now, Purple Dog is not as good as Red Dog in single target or AoE. I assume it's probably just not tuned properly. This looks to be more of your single target effect versus AoE effect right here. And they'll probably tune it later on, but I'll show you it in combat briefly here. So we're gonna hop into combat here. I'm gonna open up like normal. I'm gonna cast my dog like normal, and I have a tracker over here for like totems and stuff. You'll see it whenever he spawns. I'm gonna cast him here. That's Grimoire. There is the actual fire dog. Casting regular dogs, building a tyrant. You can get 15 imps in your tyrants now if you have tyranny. Keep that in mind. I'm not trying here against whatever. I'm gonna tyrant trinket. This thing procced. And look at the actual breakdown here, right? So here is the dog, Charhound. Here's Tyrant. Tyrant will be higher when you can get more imps into it and you have a longer opener, so on and so forth, with cores and refunds and all that later on. But I want to show you Charhound here, right? His damage is not bad. He's up here at 12% roughly. He's off cooldown literally right now. I'm summoning another one right now. He's sitting at 11.3, 11.7, 11.8, 12. He's climbing. He's active essentially almost the entire time, like that you're playing your rotation, right? I mean, he's basically expiring like right now, but I have Tyrant again in 20 seconds. I'm gonna have him up again in 10 seconds, basically setting up for Tyrant, right? So that buff from Gambit is actually gonna be up a large portion of the time. Whenever that's not bugged anymore, we can test with it. I'm curious to see if dog build is just really strong. It actually might be. Now, the weird thing about Demonology right now is that it is still bugged. The Demo tier set bug was unfortunately not fixed in this week's build. We have a permanent Legion Strike damage amp on our Grimoire. Is what it is. I can't change it. I don't know what to tell you. But once again, we're Tyranting. Fire Dog is out, and his damage, he is still sitting here. 11.8, 11.5, 11.6%. My pet is crushing. So realistically, Firehound is like number 3 overall here still. But he's sitting somewhere probably around like probably 14%, give or take, once they, fix Legion Strike here. Also, Hatred is terrible. But he's not bad at all. Shadowhound's sitting around 8%. He's just not buffed enough. They're probably going to nerf the Fire Dog a bit in single target. He's supposed to be the AoE dog and buff the Shadow Dog, but they are working with Tyrant now. It's very cool. Step 2 out of 3 is done. Step 1 was getting them to be half a minute long, which they are. Step 2 was getting them to work with Tyrant, which they are. Step 3 is getting this fixed. We're getting there. Baby steps, but they are indeed now working. Doom has been nerfed. Once again, I don't know. I didn't even see this until right now, but once the Doom Guard was broken and stuff, whatever. Destruction has changed a little bit here. Chaos Bolt cast by Fiend no longer gain modifiers active on its summoner. So basically it was being affected by backdraft, chaos bolt, cast time reductions, so on and so forth, which is why it was chaining a million chaos bolts. Now I do want to show you very briefly a build here that I've been playing for Destro, and you'll see the new Overfiend also. He's green, not orange. He's not a Smolderon. He's a greeneron. I don't know. He's green now, but he's pretty cool. It's like a fell green. There is a build here of Destro I've been messing with a bit, and this is my fear with destruction, because Infernal is not in the middle of the tree anymore. There are a couple builds I've been playing with. One is actually a no Infernal build. It is just a consistent build. You're getting Burned Ashes, Diabolic Embers, Ruin, Improved Chaos Bolt, Devastation, Soulfire, Decimation, Avatar, and this build is surprisingly really strong. It was doing better for Splat than it was for me. It was his best overall build, he said, roughly. I have a bit worse. It was a bit worse for me than playing. I think I played. What did I play? I think it was this build here. I played Infernal and Crushing Chaos. Wasn't even playing his talent towards the end. It's just so subpar because you don't cast Incinerate with this build. You rarely ever cast Incinerate. I pulled out of Burned to Ashes and Diabolic Embers because of how often Overfiends spawn from rituals and Seeds of their demise. So I'm going to show you briefly here. This is indeed, again, Hellcaller, playing Wither and all that. You very rarely ever end up casting Incinerate. You don't ever cast Wither manually. It's very, very rare. It's reapplied through Soulfire or Cataclysm. Now, the unfortunate part is Wither is still bugged from time to time. It'll just break CDF and it'll come back online later on. You don't know when. It just starts glowing again. You can hit it, but hopefully it won't happen here. I'll show you how this looks. The damage is very surprising. It's really strong. So we're going to open up here. I don't know if this is optimal. We're going to cap on shards in our opener. You cap a lot with this build. It's just how it is. Keep in mind, the Overfiend's spawn rate here is actually functioning the way it should be, from what I understand, being talents with seeds and ritual here. The chaos bolt damage is still pretty high, but putting that aside, the spawn rate and the shard gen it's bringing is currently intended to be that way. So, precast the Soulfire. I'm going to put a Conflict Rate out, put my Infernal down. I'm going to pop a Rift here, Trinket, Malevolence. I'm going to cast CDF. We're capped. It is what it is, man. I'm going to cast Bolts, Bolt, Rift. Going to hope for some Soulfire resets here. Didn't get off a CDF, but we're going to pray we do at some point. Bolt, Bolt. Here come the Overfiends. There he is right there, the green one. We got a reset on Soulfire. Going to cast it. We're going to cast Cataclysm because why not? Got another reset there. Cast it again. We're going to cast CDF. Got a third reset. We didn't, but it's okay. We're capped on shards for ages here. Didn't even notice. Wasn't even looking. There's an Overfiend spawning. Casting a Bolt. I'm going to Conflict Rate. Casting a Bolt again. Soulfire's back off CD. Cast it again. I'll cast one Incinerate. Casting a Chaos Bolt. Casting a Chaos Bolt again here. I'm going to Conflict Rate. I'm going to cast CDF. Hope for Soulfire reset. We got it. Cast Soulfire. Going to cast a Chaos Bolt. Going to cast another Chaos Bolt. There's an Overfiend spawning now. Cast a third Chaos Bolt. I'm going to Conflict Rate. I'm going to cast a Rift here. I'm going to cast one Incinerate because why not? Going to cast a Chaos Bolt. Going to cast a Soulfire. It's back off cooldown. Cast another Chaos Bolt. We're capping on shards. Cast again. Cast again. Cast a Conflict Rate. Cast a CDF. Hope for a reset. We didn't get it. That's okay because we got a Trinket. We got a Malevolence here. I'm going to cast a Conflict Rate. Going to cast a Chaos Bolt. Going to cast one Incinerate because why not? Cast a Chaos Bolt. Cast a Soulfire here. Why not? Going to cast a Conflict Rate. There's an Overfiend. There's a second Overfiend. Going to cast a Bolt. Going to cast a Bolt. Going to cast a Conflict Rate. Going to cast a Bolt. There's number 3. Cast a Bolt. There we go again. Cast this. If we get a Soulfire reset, we did. Cast Soulfire. Going to cast one Incinerate. Going to cast Chaos Bolt. The damage of this build is wild. We're over 1 million DPS still. And we're looking at an Infernal again in less than half a minute, right? Obviously, Overfiend is a little overtuned when it comes to Chaos Bolt damage still. It'll likely change. But look at this Soulfire. The max hit 1.5. I've seen 1.8 million on these Soulfires. Look at the max Chaos Bolt for me. 1.1, 1.5. Whether doing damage, Black and Soul doing damage, CDF. You cast these Soulfires so often because these CDFs, when you're casting them, the little like bolts you get from RDF can crit and they can reset Soulfire. It's a high chance to reset. You rarely ever cast Incinerate. I cast 5 Incinerates here over the course of a minute and a half. I cast 30 Chaos Bolts, 5 Incinerates. You don't cast it, man. You really don't. Is this going to last? I'm not sure. But either way, it honestly feels really good to play. But you don't want this. You don't want this because you don't cast them. And it's not worth casting, right? So we'll see where it goes. The thing that sort of scares me is if they do bring down the shard gen from all this stuff here and there, you might just shift more into like the Burned Ashes, Diabolic Embers build without Infernal. Because without having Infernal in the middle of the tree and Rift being so bad, without having more nodes to build upon it and stuff and all that, you might want this or a Flashpoint. It's hard to say. Either way, with this being so subpar and Infernal being down here, feeling like it's sort of a required talent in a sense. When I played with it more, it actually really wasn't. And I want to have my main demon cooldown again, but like when you have so many capstones that are or talents that are so good, burn, diabolic embers, which are usually good when you don't have insane charge in. Burn, embers, avatar, ritual, overfiend, chaos bolt, ruin, devastation, soulfire, decimation. Like there's so many good options here. Some things fall by the wayside, and that looks like it might be Infernal, depending where this goes. But either way, Overfiend's cool, he's sick, the Chargen's cool. This version of Destro feels really good. I'm playing it on Thursday and testing if it's a patchwork fight. And, yeah, I believe with that being said, it's about all the changes today, though. Some buffs, some nerfs, overall, some big nerfs here. Overall, though, I mean, even with these coming in, it's week 1 of beta, essentially, with tuning coming in. It's going to happen. We're in beta. Tuning is starting up. Lock still feels good. Soul Harvest is awkward. I'm hoping it's in prep for changes next week, the week after. But if it's not, I just don't play this. You play Hellcaller and Diabolist or whatever. But either way, that is that. So thanks for watching, guys, and hopefully this video might have clarified on some of the questions you might have had about the buffs and nerfs and changes and all that today. I think Lock's in a pretty good spot. Still, this is beta, tuning is starting up, numerical tuning, all that. There might be changes like the talents and positioning, all that kind of stuff coming. Still don't know. We'll see. The Soul Harvester nerfs are very odd. I don't know why. I'm hoping that might be setting up maybe some kind of like gluttony half-minute Soul Rot return, maybe in the Soul Harvester tree. I don't know. Not really sure where it's going to go. We'll see what happens after this week. There is a week off between this week and then, this week we're raid testing, next week no testing, week after testing again. So maybe changes coming there. We'll see where it goes. I don't know. But if we do get some, I will update you all here. Week Warriors, add-ons, profiles. The beta Week Warrior you saw on my central one, as well as the feedback document. Links all down below in the description if you want them. Before we end the video, like always, a shout out to my patrons for all support on Patreon. For a million times, thank you guys. I really appreciate it. If you can support you on Patreon, should be a link up here, as well as down below in the description. And the Warlock War Within beta spreadsheet will indeed be live within a week or so, whenever testing begins. If you want early access to that, the tier 3 failure rank of Patreon higher does indeed get that. And yeah, that is that. So I'm pumped for raid testing. I'm a little concerned about how fast everything's being tested and thrown at us, but I mean, at the same time, like, honestly, man, this year's flown by. We're already in, it's mid-June at this point. There's going to be a Race World first in September. I'm getting old. This is crazy. But thankfully, Lock looks good. I'm excited about it. Even with the nerfs and things today, thematically it's still really exciting. Feels good to play, and I hope it continues. So thanks for watching, guys. If you like the videos, hit the like and sub buttons below. Helps out a ton. I'll catch you again soon on stream. Peace.